Hey everyone, how's everybody doing? Oh my goodness, we're having technical difficulties today. Um, so hang tight. I'm trying to go live with my friend Len Tran, and we are having some issues going live together. So 1 second, and we'll see if we can try this again.
All right, is it working right now?
Yes?
It's working. Awesome. Okay. I was wondering how come my phone is not working the way I want it to work.
How are you?
Very good. How about yourself?
I'm very good. I feel like we're on like one of those telethons or telesales. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like if you buy now like a Genku, I don't know, steak knife for $9.99, you'll get another pair for free.
I can say this. It's gonna be a great read, and I'm having people who read a couple pages already, and they sending me texts, and they said, yeah, you know what? I'm already enthused and immersed in the story.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Well, joining us live today, let's just tell them what we're doing here. Len, you published a book today, and it debuted this morning. It's called Split Up by the Sea. And why don't you tell us all a little bit about what this book's about?
All right, all right, thanks. So the book is about the journey. Well, me and my dad and 23 other people. We left Vietnam in 1982 because after the fall of Saigon, we couldn't bear to live under the new government, which is communism. However, we were not able to take the entire family with us. So the journey was just me and my dad, and we were split up by the sea, which is basically my mom and six other siblings were still back in Vietnam. And throughout the entire journey on the sea, it took us 21 days before we were rescued. And there were a few times where we escaped death, especially in the book where I detail about the ominous clouds, and it was just right above us. And my religion is Buddhism, so we always pray to Quang Thế Bồ which is the Bodhisattva Quang Thế. And you can only see this in the movies, but at that point when we were praying, um, that cloud was giving us rain, and it was the rain that we needed to survive. And because of that, we were able to continue for the next 16 days. And so, that's just only the journey at sea. But, when you think that you come to America and you figure that, you risk your life to find freedom, and yet you were faced with another obstacle. And, coming to America, obviously, both my dad and I, we don't know English at all. We will live in the South Bronx where the place, I think dilapidated is a good word for it, because there's a lot of crumbled buildings, high crimes, drugs, all that. And we had to adjust. But the book will take you through the journey of perseverance as well as determination. And with that, we were able to eventually establish a new life in America.
Wow. And you and I actually, we have similar stories. You came here with just your dad at the age of 8. I came with just my mom at the age of 5. And we ended up on opposite coasts, right? You went to New York. I went to Seattle, Washington. But I know for me, when I was 5 years old, there's not a lot that I remembered about the journey itself. And I'm curious to know, how much of it did you remember, and how much of it you had to call upon other family members to write your memoir?
Yeah, so I remembered vividly the scene where the propeller of the boat just cracked. And at that time, my dad has a citizen watch on his wrist, and it was the gift that my grandfather gave it to him, because in Vietnam, they really value education. And, you have to spend a lot of money just to get an education. So when we were on that boat, he had a watch with him. And luckily that saved us from dying. Basically, the propeller died. We were floating in the middle of the ocean until there was another fishing boat that came by, and it was a Chinese fishing boat. So we just signaled to them that, and they understood that our propeller was broken. My dad gave them the watch, and in return they gave us another propeller. And luckily, because of that, that we were able to continue. For that one, I remember really vividly, but there was another scene that I was the cause of. Uh, Something happened to the engine, and I didn't recall as much. So I reached out to um, a friend who was on that boat with us back in 1982, and I reached out to him 2 years ago, and so he described to me the details, and I was like, "Wow, it was me, boy! I caused that." And he's like, "Yeah, because it was a small fishing boat, and it was cold that night." Now everything is just one deck, right? But my dad was able to pull up, some of the boards that I went down there, and somehow I kicked the engine or did something to it that caused the engine to stall.
Mm.
So it was nice hearing it from him, and so that I can relive that moment.
Wow. So did you, when you came to the United States, did you have a sponsor and did you have a relationship with that sponsor?
Yeah, so back in 1982, and I would say probably from 75 up to um, probably mid 80s. So HIAS, which is HIAS, is a Jewish organization, and also that information I had to reach out to my dad as well. So that organization is a Jewish organization, and what they do is they sponsor a lot of Vietnamese immigrants, refugees. As soon as we arrived to the Philippines, is when they have the organization to sponsor us to come to America. It just so happened that they brought us to New York City. But once they brought us there, it's just a matter of, okay, we got you here. The rest is up to you. So they gave us some information to apply for financial assistance. That was the only means for us to live. And I remember also they asked us to go to church a lot. And even though my background is Buddhism, but at that that time, that point, um, any means that we can have food, in our tummy, we would just go along. But we were glad enough that they helped many Vietnamese refugees.
Mm. Do you remember maybe what some of your favorite foods were or what your worst favorite foods were? Because I remember when I came here, blue cheese was my worst. I was 5 years old and forced to eat blue cheese. Ugh. And then my favorite was 7 Up, of course, soda. I'd never had soda before. But what was your first food experience like?
Oh my goodness, I love it, that you asked me that. So in my book, I also detail when I was in the Philippines, and it was the first time that I drank Coke. And now, give you a little bit of the backstory. When I was living in Vietnam, we were in the countryside, and I lived next to the beach. We were poor. There's no such thing as having meat at all. The only kind of food that we would eat was just rice and fish that was given to us by the fishermen, but mainly cactus leaves that was in front of our house. So when I was in the Philippines, they gave us Coke, but for some reason they do not call it Coke over there. They call it Coca-Cola. Actually, Coca-Cola. That's how they
Nope.
call it, Coca-Cola with a Vietnamese accent. And so when we arrived to New York City, uh, so this lady who works for Hyatt, she gave my dad $20, and she said, "Okay, go buy food." So we walked by, and our first fast food was McDonald's,
Of
and
course.
I and we walked in, we look at the menu, and have no idea what to order. So Dad just looked, to the side, saw somebody eating something that says Big Mac, so he ordered Big Mac. And I said, yeah, Dad, I want a Coca-Cola. And so I ordered, and I said, Coca-Cola.
Mm.
And so the cashier looked at me and was like, what? What do you mean? I said, Coca-Cola. And so she was confused. She was confused, like, "Oh, what is this guy asking?" Eventually, she understood, and she said, "Oh, you mean Coke?" And I was like, "Okay, well, Coke." But it was the right thing that I was asking for. So that is my first fast food in America. Um, the second uh, food that I ate when I moved, well, not moved, went to my new place 2 days, no, a day later to the South Bronx, was pizza. So I was like, wow, this is pretty neat. I'm eating rice, and now I'm transitioning to burgers and cheese, which is never you don't see that in Vietnam at all.
Right. Wow, that's crazy. How was it for your dad? Because I mean, it must have been really hard for him to just be separated from his family, take only you, brave 21 plus days out there, and to come here not really knowing English and just, I mean, how did he handle and acclimate?
Yeah, so that was the thing, right? When I was playing, in with my friends on the beach, and it just so happened one day he held my hand and he said, "Okay, let's go visit your uncle from the city." And I was like, "Okay, okay." Like I said, we were so poor that anywhere that he's willing to take me, I'll go with him. But it turned out to be a surprised journey where the next day, instead of taking a boat to see my uncle in the city, we end up taking the boat and searching for freedom. But when we got to America, I've learned so much from my dad by seeing him always persevere and have that determination that we sacrifice our lives to come to America for a reason. So we should not waste any moment, and any minute on something that's unnecessary. So his motive is always, okay, let's get an education, so that we can build a new life in America. And growing up, watching the things that he did, watching the dedication every time when he opened up his books and do his calculus, his math, whatever, engineering. Those are the things that, as a child, when you see someone who you love repetitively doing over and over again, it stuck in me. And so, as I was growing up, I try to emulate and do the same thing that he did.
Hmm. Hmm. So I had the honor of reading your book before it was published, and I got to say, anybody who picks up the book, please pick up the book because, well, pick up some tissues too while you're shopping on Amazon. Get some tissues. But tell me about your writing journey and how long did it take? Why did you even write this book?
Yeah, so even back in college, and I remember, doing karate classes where a couple of my Vietnamese friends were also in the class. And all of us have a story. I mean, my journey was coming here with my dad, and my other friends, my other Vietnamese friends, they have the same boat story. Instead of going to Hong Kong, they end up in Malaysia, Thailand, stuff like that, where their stories were, I would say, are just as horrifying as mine. Um, and as we were telling each other's story, it has never been something that I would think that, okay, someday I'm going to write a book about it. Because I guess maybe, you were young and you don't think about that stuff. But the older that I get, and now seeing that my daughter's in college, I think differently. I want to preserve the history. I want the next generation to understand what we went through, so that we can give them the life that they are having right now. So thinking about that inspires me to write this book. And um, I had mentioned this, many times that, my background is engineering. I always thought that, writing is not my thing because, I'm good with putting down words, but I'm not good when it comes to, descriptive writing. But you know what? As long as you write your heart out, then it doesn't matter because any of that can be corrected later on.
So we had some people join this live conversation. The youngest that I
Hey.
guys is 13 years old, and I don't know if Caden is still on here, but Caden, if you have any questions, here's your opportunity, honey, to ask someone who traveled all the way from Vietnam after the fall of Saigon. And Caden, I know him personally because his dad is half Vietnamese or part Vietnamese
Mhm.
area. So I'm sure as he gets older, he'll question his, his background and his history. But, you're right that everybody has a story within them,
Mhm.
and preserving history is super important. And for those out there who want to write their stories but don't know where to start, or who are afraid of the publishing process, what kind of advice can you give them?
Yeah. First of all, first thing first, and that is to write your story. Once you have your story already, there will be a lot of, people out there who's who's probably have the same question that you have as a writer is how can I publish my book? And that was my struggle. But the the universe is always on your side. And the reason why I'm saying that was because right when I was about to finish my book, I reached out to people. And it so happened that Amy was the first person I talked to that does publishing. And she threw me a term which is called indie publishing. And I didn't understand what it means. But, after talking to Amy, she was able to help. And right after that, the process is it's what it's supposed to be, which is um, you wrote your book, and Amy's there to help you to complete the book, and which is like today, having your book on Amazon.
I remember pushing you to. I was like, let's do it on October 4th. And you're like, well, I'm
Yeah,
not ready.
yeah.
But
But
wow, I
I,
mean, you know to
but
be a
but this is also what I want to share as well. And back to what you were asking earlier is the writing process. Um, when I first started out writing my memoir, I remember it was only 50,000 words, right? And then after talking to you, you suggested to have it more, and I'm so glad that you did that because it allows me to not just only capture uh, more of my feelings, but it also allows me to capture events, which I think is very important to have in the book. Because if I'm thinking, to leave a legacy for my children or something, to preserve history, then I feel that, all necessary events needs to be in the book. And so, guys, if you decide to write, don't rush, and just take breaks sometimes because you just never know what else is going to pop up that needs to be in there as well.
So how are you celebrating today now that you're an author?
Yeah, I'm telling, I still can't believe that it's real. I can see one of my friends is watching right now, new Nicole. I don't know if can she say hi or no, right? Okay, so she is a college friend, and this is how I'm gonna celebrate. I never thought that I'm gonna be an author. Today is still I still feel so unreal. And my wife just got me a cake, and I can't wait to eat it. I can't wait to eat that cake.
Well, we're excited for you, and we can't wait to see what's next. What is next? Are you going to continue this writing journey, or are you going to go back to doing what you're doing now, which is engineering, black belt karate stuff? Like, what are you going to do? You're also a Toastmasters. Let's talk about that too.
Yeah, I that is an awesome question. What am I gonna do next? And this is my motto. My motto is you you can't just stop where you at. always face the challenge. Writing is never my thing. Writing is outside of my comfort zone. However, I decided to start. And right now, I just learned something about myself that I can write. You know, at first I was having doubts that I thought I won't be able to make it. But once you get to the finish line, once you discover your potential, it just give you a drive to do more. And so right now I am working on a second book. It's a motivational book. It's a self-help book. And the gist of the book is to share with people my message of how to rise, how to get off your seat and do the things that you love. And what is it that's holding you back? It's just, you know, those thoughts between your ears. So everything in that book is my method that I had learned from my dad, from the people who I met, because you just never know. Someone will always teach you something new in life. And so I put everything, my recipe in that book. And I hope Amy's going to help me to get that out soon as well.
So my biggest excuse is time. Like I would love to rise to the occasion and do the things, stretch a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I always make that excuse. I don't have the time. I don't have enough sleep. So what is your recipe? What's your formula for someone who says that?
Yeah. My students complain about that all the time, right? My students always say, hey, I don't have enough time. I can't make it to practice today. I have to do this. I have to do that. This is my thing. We all have the same time in our lives, right? You have 24 hours. I have 24 hours. The biggest, most successful person also have 24 hours. It's how we're gonna prioritize our time. That's the key right there. So think of the things that you should do to make yourself better. If you're gonna try to tackle every single thing, yes, you will not have enough time. Try to do the things that you think will change your life, either the next day, the next month, or whatever. But do the things that can help you progress, not the things that are gonna make you stagnant. Prioritize what's important and stick with it.
Okay, I hear you. Okay, well, where can we buy your book? And I know that what is like 10:30 your time over there in Virginia, and we have until midnight to hit #1 on the new release today. And I was telling you earlier that about 2,700 books get published each day in the United States. So you're competing with 2,700 books each day. But in the memoir category, I don't know how many books there are being published in the memoir category, but you're pretty darn close to Michelle Obama's book, who hit #13 today, and you're 30. So you're creeping up, because every time I'm looking at Amazon, you're creeping up further, which is amazing. But yeah, let's push it to the finish line. If you are on here with us, thank you for your support. Please do buy a book on Kindle. If you don't have Kindle, just download the app. Super easy, $3.99. Boom, it's there. Buy tissues, like I said, while you're up there. Do you want to say anything else, Len? Any last comments?
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you very much. And once again, I still can't believe this is real, and I can't believe I'm catching up to the Obamas, right? Who would thought of that? A brand new author able to do such a thing, and the only way that I can get up close to them or even past them is your help. And with your support to buy the book, I guarantee it's going to be a journey, something that you read you'll never forget. And through the process, if you can follow me, I can share with you more stories of my journey of how I wrote the book. And you just never know, you might end up having a story that you want to share with the world as well.
Super. And you're also, one last thing, you're also a Toastmasters. I call you an extraordinaire, because I've listened to a couple of your speeches now. Are you available for speaking engagements? How do people book you for talks?
Yeah, yeah. I thought this year was going to be my year. One of my goals is to get on the international stage. Toastmaster International is worldwide, and every year they have a speech competition, and you are competing against 35,000 people in order to get to the semifinal stage. Well, this year I was just one round short. If I would have won the regional, then I would be at the world stage. So I lost to someone who is an amazing speaker. So it's one of those losses that you be like, hey, you know what? She was just a better person. But I am also working hard uh, to get on that stage next year. But besides Toastmaster, I also speak on the mind control. My focus is about destroying distractions, right? I mean, whatever that you want to do in life, it's all about the distraction. And most people would think, yeah, the external distractions, but it is the internal distractions that are actually holding you back. So that's what I talk about. My website is lenvtran.com. If you have an organization, a company, and you would like me to come and speak about destroying distractions, please reach out to me.
Yeah, and I can attest you're a very good speaker. So one last
Thanks.
time, Split Up by the Sea. That's the name of Len's memoir, Split Up by the Sea, and it's a beautiful, beautiful book. So if you're looking for something to read, go ahead and pick it up today on Amazon, and we will catch you all later. Please do write a review as well, because reviews obviously help um, writers get discovered and get books known. And this is a very important book. It's not just a memoir about Len's journey and Len's life. It really is about the diaspora, the Vietnamese diaspora. It's a story that people don't talk about. It's a story that you
Mhm.
hear about in schools. What it's like for the refugees after the Vietnam War and after Saigon fell. What really happened to hundreds of thousands of people who fled and perished out in the sea. So, anyways, with that, any last words before we sign off?
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, thank you, everyone. And, I'm excited. I think we're still moving up the rankings. So we have 2 hours left. And thanks to all of you who are supporting me.
Awesome. Thanks. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Bye.